Kuiniselani, thank you for talking to us. Maybe just if we could start by reflecting on this meeting here in Apia, which is the Commonwealth, the 11th Women's Ministerial Meeting for the Commonwealth Secretariat. There has been a review of the Gender Plan of Action, the 15-year plan, and now, with a looking ahead in terms of moving towards contributing to the Sustainable Development Goals as a regional intergovernmental organisation tasked with ensuring that the gender equality agenda in the Pacific moves forward and making linkages to the other areas of the Sustainable Development Goals with the technical assistance that the SPC provides. How do you see this process in terms of the role that the Pacific community can play in collaboration with ComSec?
Well, I think clearly the mandates for the Commonwealth Women Affairs meeting is much more wider and broader in terms. It's a global mandate, and therefore obviously the role of the Pacific community as a regional organization is to support the countries so that they are positioned to then implement and translate these global documents at national level. It's also about recognizing the different levels. So you have a global document, you have the regional entities that are coordinating support to the countries, and then you come to the national level. And so the important role that SPC will continue to play is to look at the work that we're also developing in terms of having reviewed the revised Pacific Platform for Action and look to the new platform to then integrate the work that the Commonwealth Secretariat, for example, is trying to roll out in terms of their longer-term gender equality framework. So yes, you would have a document that will come out of this meeting, the ministers' communique. You would then have the gender equality framework that the Commonwealth Secretariat will then start to finalize and roll out. And those things, and so it's only natural that those things will then look at what regional mechanisms exist and build on those to see the implementation.
When the first Gender Plan of Action of the Commonwealth was adopted, it was actually in 2004, 10 years after the adoption of the Pacific Platform for Action, and it was soon after the 2004 triennial as well. In looking at the themes that has emerged through the 11 WAM and the review of that Gender Plan of Action, do those themes resonate? Obviously, climate change does, but how do you see those linkages as well?
Well, I think the priorities identified at global level through the Commonwealth mechanism is very much aligned with the priorities of the region, and so there's no difference there. I think and this is where the need for the global frameworks to then look at how the regional frameworks can then support the implementation and delivery on these things, because one of the ongoing challenges that countries continue to face is the burden of reporting, and therefore if you had a harmonized reporting tool that considers these different mechanisms, then it'll make it a lot easier for countries, so that when they do reports at national level on these different things, they can also use the same report to report against their regional and global commitments. And so the fact that the priorities are aligned is even the more reason why the global documents, such as the work that the Commonwealth Secretariat will then roll out, needs to build on the regional mechanisms to be able to ensure delivery and implementation.
Speaking of regional mechanisms, I understand there is now a process underway to look at the different frameworks and ensure that there is a harmonization for both the 22 Pacific Island countries and territories mandated under the work of the Pacific Community, and then, of course, the Pacific Islands Forum. Could you share what's going on with that, please?
Okay. So you're aware that we had the review of the revised Pacific Platform for Action last year, and one of the recommendations from that review is to consider the development of a new framework, or a framework that would actually be aligned to the Leaders' Declaration. And so the way we see the new platform is the new platform will actually put a lot of focus on the how. So instead of again reiterating priorities for gender equality in the region that are already spelled out in the Leaders' Declaration, basically what the Pacific Platform will do is to explore the different strategies to ensure that the acceleration of the implementation of the Leaders' Declaration then happens. The question on whether, because the Leaders' Declaration only covers 14 countries, for the rest of the region, again, the priorities are no different. For the American and French territories, the priorities are the same. And so it's a matter of then looking at how implementation will be different across the different Pacific Island countries and territories, but we don't see it being a different, we don't see the adoption of a different framework to be the answer. So it's basically providing the opportunity to accelerate implementation, because the priorities have already been clearly defined through the Leaders' Declaration and through other mechanisms.
I just wanted to come back on something that the work of your program has been doing with member states around the work around indicators, the work around gender statistics, as well as the progressing gender policies for national governments. Can you tell us a little bit about how those things are progressing now?
Okay. Well, we started this work back in 2013. 2014. And so this is the assistance that we get through the Pacific Women Shaping Pacific Development Program. And the assistance that comes through SPC is one of the regional programs funded under Pacific Women. Two major components. One is the focus on gender mainstreaming, and the second one is on the gender statistics work. The way it works, so support for countries to be able to do gender mainstreaming, the focus on the policies, and then identifying indicators from the policies, and that then becomes the document that informs the gender statistics work. How it's going, I think we have made some progress in terms of promoting gender mainstreaming in some countries. I think Solomon Islands, Cook Islands have been two of the countries that there has been quite a bit of work done, implementation done. There's also been progress on the gender statistics work and developing capacity. There's going to be a workshop here in 2 weeks' time. And I think the countries, especially the national women's machineries and also the national bureaus of statistics, have come to appreciate the importance of this work in terms of informing the incorporation of a gender perspective across the different policies and programs at national level.
And one of the things that, in terms of the discussions here as well, has been that without indicators, without the statistics, we really can't make any difference. So to wrap things up, looking forward to a triennial?
Yes. So the triennial conference and Pacific Ministers for Women meeting. It happens every year, every 3 years. I'd like to see that happens every year, but it can't be a reality. So it happens every 3 years. We were supposed to have it this year, but it's been postponed next year. Our biggest challenge is finding resources to host the triennial, but we are making efforts to ensure that it happens. One of the things that we've also discussed in the context of planning, coordinating the triennial is we want to do something different. We want to we'd like to think that when countries come to the triennial, they actually see how it's adding value to the work that they do at national level. When regional organizations and international partners come to this forum, they also see how it's giving added value to the work that they do in terms of coordination across the region on supporting the countries. So I'm optimistic that the triennial will happen and that it will happen with a difference. So we are having our own internal discussions on what that looks like and how we will operationalize a triennial that will be different from the triennials we've had before, and something that will actually be useful for the countries and for the partners involved.
So just one final question then. Would that be where the new regional framework would be adopted, or will that happen in a different space?
Yes, that would be so we're working towards ensuring that we do have a near final document that will then be presented to the ministers for their endorsement.
Okay, thank you.